Hi there, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Catherine. I make journals out of old interesting books. And for the next few weeks, I will be working on seasonal journals. 'Tis the season. So I'm glad you're joining me. Some of you might think, well, you've planned this wrong, Catherine. You should be selling them by now. And this is my therapy. So I'm getting in the mood for the upcoming holiday season. And for me, this just makes it. So sadly, most of my Christmas journals usually get sold by Christmas, not in time for it. But it's because I follow my heart, and right now my heart wants to make Christmas journals. And if I were to make them in, August and September, that's my heart's not in it then. So my heart's in it now. Let's get to work. If you're new here as well and you hear crashing and bumping around, or you hear me talking to another entity in the room, that entity would be a 12-pound little curly-haired dog named Kirby. Where are you? Oh, hi. She's already had a nice run today and breakfast, and let's hope for a good session. Now, I'm going to pause and set a timer. I still don't have my good phone back. I just record with my phone. It is ready. I have to go over and get it, but I've got work to do here. So hold on a second. Okay, so I'm working on this sweet little journal, Whittier's Poetical Works. It's old. I believe 1857. Where's my? Of course, now I can't find my basket. It's gone. Where are you, basket? Oh, there we go. Okay. Found the basket. I believe it's 1857 for this particular book, which is delightful. It hasn't seemed to have inherited a name yet, and I'm hesitating because in my brain I keep calling it Marmaduke, because originally the mother gifted this book to her son back in the 1870s, to my beloved son Marmaduke. And I can't call a Christmas journal Marmaduke. I just can't do it. So I'm hoping something is going to evolve and it's going to have a beautiful Christmas name. Hold on. Someone's chewing on something and I don't think it's a toy. Well, she made a liar out of me. It was a toy. So I got started on this a while back because I already had the inside fortified. And in this case, I chose, because I wanted to be able to keep the spine, I chose to put down fabric first. In this case, a really, really thin cotton. It's tea-dyed. And then I fortified the spine so that so it will hold its curve. So it's not going to be, it'll still be floppy, but this part, the spine of the book, it'll be tough. And I took up the edges of the old end papers. They were just plain brown. So we're going to put something pretty and Christmassy inside. I thought long and hard about what to do about this because the fabric is coming up. I think just moisture damage. So I had to think, as they say in the Groose, I puzzled my puzzler. And I have decided that I'm going to lay down some lace over that. I will still be using the original front page, so we will still know that this is Whittier's poetical work. But I'm going to put some lace. I think it's been quite a few journals since I've done a lace overload journal, and I'm really feeling the need. It's pretty old Christmas journals. I just love lots of lace. So, and by doing the lace, that enables me to camouflage some sewing into here with my sewing machine right through the board. So I will be doing that. This is so old, the needle will go through it. It won't be pretty on this side, but we'll be covering it up. But in the meantime, I do want to glue down some of this. I don't want to take it up any more than it already is, but it does need, it needs a bit of glue under there. I'm going to use 3-in-1 because it will hold fabric to paper products. And I'm going to go in very lightly. Because I'm going to be sewing it, the sewing will reinforce holding it down. The glue is just to encourage it. So I'm going to use one of my silicone makeup brushes. I'm going to lift and just tuck under there and just paint it on. Because I will be sewing. I think I need a bit more under there. I'm going to lift it before it fully dries. Yeah, see, that needs some more under there. Right under there. Because I want it to stay green. It's Christmas. I'm doing it thin because it could end up wanting to, sometimes these acetone-based glues can bleed through fabric and stain it. Now I'm going to lift this because I am going to sew through it. So I can see a bubble here. I can see a big bubble there. I'm just going to lift it a little just so that I can tuck this in. Maybe I'll use my smaller one. I have a tinier one. And just tuck a little glue in there. When you're shabby chic-ing an old book, and I don't know if that's the correct term to use, it's the term I use when a book is so old and so homely that the only thing you can do with it to make it beautiful is to just sew right through it and go to town with the lace. Don't be too afraid of making a mess, because in the end the lace and the sewing is what's going to hold it together, and it's going to give it its charm. So this lace I decided to use, I wanted it thin enough so that at least the green part would still show through. I played with some inks to see whether I like this. It's not a snow white. It's more of a soft white. It's in between ivory and white. See what I mean? This is white. So, and I was trying to decide whether I want it more old looking, more yellowy looking, because I want to use a gold thread with it, or whether I want to use this. And my gut keeps telling me that a little book so well used, so well loved from the 1850s the lace would not be this color. It would be this color. So I did this simply by using my soft brush, and I used Archival Ink Coffee. Now I still want I want a bit more dark, so I'm going to go in with my Distress ink in Walnut. This is a wonderful, really dark, espresso-y kind of brown, and I haven't had any luck finding it recently. Any of the Distress inks, as you know, from my belly aching that I do. But I'm just going to dirty up the edges a little bit more with a bit of the dark. Just those edges. And give this little old lady a bit of the dignity that a 160-year-old book deserves. So now I will be turning these edges under, which will also serve the dual purpose of fortifying this mess here. See that? And you'll notice here when I put this curved spine liner in, I rounded those edges just because I had this feeling they might try and poke through how delicate this original fabric was. When I held it up to the window, it was, you could see right through it. I am surprised it didn't just fall apart in my hands. But it didn't, so that's when I knew, all right, this old girl wants to stay together. I'm going to keep her together. So now what I will do is more of the 3-in-1. I'm going to get out you know what? I think that's the top. I think that's the top. I think I just inked the underside. Yes, I did. And that's all right. No harm done. And I actually think I'm happy with it the way it is. All right, so here we go. I'm going to glue it down first. Then I'm going to put a little more here. This starts drying and getting gummy looking, and I need it. I'm going to need to work quickly with this. So I'm going to start in the middle and work to one end, and then turn it around and work to the other end. I can do these ends later when I curl them under. So I'm not too worried about them. But these edges, yes, I want them well glued to hold down all those little frills. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Here's where you need to be careful. Get anything with 3-in-1 out of the way, because if you get it on your cover, it'll stay shiny. It doesn't dry clear. So I'm going to move that over, plop it down, and it's moved a bit. There we go. What I'm going to do is push firmly, not too firmly. Obviously, I don't want to bust and crack that nice curve that I've created. Now I'm going to lift it because it's got to be able to stay in this position. And if I pushed it down and let it dry in a flat position, all this edging would pull back when the time comes to bend it. Now I can see here that I've got some edges there that need a bit more. And this is where I'm going to have to be careful. I don't want, if you hear wailing and gnashing of teeth, a great wailing and gnashing of teeth, it will be because I got some on the cover. But I'm not too worried because there is every possibility I could be adding more lace. And as well, as I said, I will definitely be sewing this down. So I mostly just want to encourage it to enjoy its new home now. This is where it will be living now. Hopefully for the next 160 years. Let's see how this side did. That side's a little better. Be careful with the spiderweb strings, because they'll want to stick to your cover, and then it's very tempting to try and wipe it, and then you smear it right into your cover. And I say this from experience. Little tiny pats, little pats. There we go. And it's happy being bent like this, in and out. Get it into that ditch. And it looks very even. I'm happy. Yes. You know what? That's not bad. Especially if Marmaduke's mother was the one doing the repairing. Perhaps Marmaduke himself was skilled with such things. I had a grandfather-in-law who was a very talented tailor who owned a shop. First in Londonderry, Ireland. They were Northern Irish. And get that off of there. And then when they immigrated to Canada, he had a little shop on Pape Street in Toronto. And boy, could he make clothing. I have a portrait of him and his wife, and wowee, the outfits they had on were lovely. And they weren't loaded, but they did okay. Back then, boy, if you had a skilled trade that you were lucky enough to have an apprenticeship with as a young person, wowee, you would arrive in your new country already with a career. All right, so now this can come over, and I'm going to do it now because I will be sewing. I think I'm going to go ahead and simply put the glue down. Spread it about a bit because this will be covered up eventually. With the text block and with end papers. Have you found that you have to choose which fingers are going to stay glue-free and which fingers will get glue on them? And then remember which these two fingers are glue-free. Come on, stay down. And which ones now have glue on them and are contaminated. Come on, you. I have to be careful with my pressure that I don't push down and ruin my curve. Don't. It'll want to keep my finger with the book, and you know what? That's not going to happen. I can't send my finger in the mail to the new owner. There we go. Okay. So that will do. Until I sew it. And I decided yesterday, I had a great brainstorming crafty date with my crush yesterday afternoon. And I haven't used metal corners in a long time on a book. And I think this little sweetie is going to get metal corners. So it's still evident there's a little bit of bubble here, tiny little bit of bubble there. I'm okay with that. Again, come on, 1850s. We got to give this girl a little bit of slack, but I think she's going to look cute with some little corners on her. I'll do those closer to the end because I don't want them to interfere when I lay down the end papers or anything else that might be in the corner, but I just thought I'd show you what they're going to look like. Here's where my hard decision comes. I'm just chattering while I wait for this to dry. I have found it's foolish to try and sew through wet 3-in-1 or wet Fabri-Tac. My machine does not like that and lets me know in nasty ways. I'm trying to decide whether to put something on the cover, something Christmassy, or whether to leave this little symbol here. It's got a little oil lamp, which I love. And it's also got a moon and stars. And I just feel that in itself is Christmassy. Because, you know, before they were making candles, they were using oil lamps for lighting for centuries. And so fortunately I have time. Until I put my end papers in, I can change my mind at any given moment. So I'm going to pause now. I'm going to go sew. Well, I'm going to let it dry and go sew, and then I'll show you the finished product. I can't show you how I sew with my machine because it really means completely moving my tripod and my setup here over to where my machine is. It's noisy. It's as long as your sewing machine isn't too precious to you, like if you don't have a $3,000 beautiful serger that you're very worried about and you actually sew clothing and quilts and beautiful things. I have my mother's old Kenmore, and although it's precious to me, it's a tough old babe, and she plows through covers no problem. Sometimes I have to use my hand and manually turn the wheel. That's okay. I'll go through a book one stitch at a time if I have to. But I do find that the older the cover, the mushier the cardstock is, and I have a suspicion that this book is going to allow me to sew it quite simply. So I'm going to pause, I'm going to go do it, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so the sewing, catch that, the sewing is done. What I do around when I've got an edge like this, a scallopy kind of edge, is I do a zigzag. I find I can catch more of it easier. And so I don't know if you can see that, but I do a zigzag. I think I have someone who needs to go out, so hold on, we'll be right back. Okay, so now I forget where I was. Yeah, so I do a zigzag around there. I stitched around the edges to keep the old book cloth down. So now any areas that are still bubbled that didn't get any of the glue, they'll be held down by the stitching. The inside, later off camera, I will tidy up a little. I can just do it with my fingers and with a bone folder. But again, I'm looking at shabby chic here, so I'm not too worried. And you know me, if you follow me, I like the long threads. I tie them off so that if the new owner doesn't, they can trim them. This, because it's so old and mushy, I didn't get a whole lot of paper displacement. You know, they're kind of like junk journal acne. And sometimes you have to really go at it with a bone folder, but in this case I didn't have to. So now this little lady is very nice and sturdy, and she looks just beautiful. Very, very happy. Let's get some corners, take a last look before we go, so we can put our imagination caps on and take a peek. Come on. That's going to look really nice. So there we go. Don't be afraid to get out your sewing machine. I'm still going to ponder it. I'm going to go and have some lunch. But I'm going to think about whether I feel like lacing it up a bit more or whether I like this simple look. Again, I'm going to ponder about this, the little lamp with the star and the moon, stars and the moon, especially because, you know, in addition to Christmas celebrations, there are solstice celebrations. That was going on before it was a Christmas celebration. It was a solstice celebration, and I'm sure it was something else before that. So, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. To my friends in the Buffalo area, I hope you are safe and doing well, and we're thinking about you up here across on the other side of the lake. The news is just incredible. The 4 to 6 feet of snow in many areas. It's just incredible. So I hope you're safe. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.